Kitchen. My name is Chef Paul. Today we're going to do a nacho dip. My wife has just turned diabetic. I've been diabetic for some time, and one of the biggest struggles that a diabetic has, especially when they're a new diabetic, and there's a list of things. Number one, if you cut yourself, you stub yourself, it takes longer to heal. Also, you have your breakfast, you have your lunch, and then you have your supper. And what my wife is now discovering is the struggle that I go through. What do you do between lunch and supper? You know, most times you have a little bit of snack. For some people, it's a chocolate bar. Some people, some crackers, something that may not necessarily be as healthy, something that may have a considerable amount of sugar even when you don't realize it. Amy's really good at it. She's actually the one that did a lot of help for me when I first became diabetic. But the funny part of reality is sometimes in real life you can't really take your own advice. What is it? Do as I say, not as I do. It's not an attitude issue, it's just human nature. So one of Amy's biggest problems that she's had since she started is just finding something that's going to keep her self-sustaining. Give me 1 second here, Amy, don't move. Sorry, I had to turn the volume on the microphone, so sorry, my bad. Anyways, one of the biggest struggles she'll have is just she's hungry. We both work in call centers. Our schedules are a little odd, and Amy may not get a break until another 4 or 5 hours. And what's she supposed to do? Well, she's diabetic. She can't exactly just not eat. She has to. So one day I thought, well, you know what? Let's make a nacho dip. I don't like pure nachos. They're good, and we'll order them every now and again. They're good. But if you have a little bit of a dip, there's a little bit more substance to them. Amy's not going to need to eat a huge thing of them all at once. It's not supposed to be a meal. It's a snack. So stay there. So we've come up with some ideas here. So Amy can follow me here for 2 seconds. We got some homemade baked beans here we're going to use in them. It's going to be very good. And yes, I already know what the concept of what I'm going to say is. But we're not going to go there. In the slow cooker, all last night, I've made a mix of tomatoes. There's some olive oil, and there's some garlic in here too. So we're going to strain this out a little bit so it's a little bit more solid instead of being juicy, right? Now, be a little bit of a chore. We've got some celery, onion. This is Thai red pepper. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to mix this in here now with all the seeds. And the reason I'm doing that now, not while it's cooking, while Amy and I do like a little bit of heat, I don't want it to ferment in here all night. I want it to be there so that it has flavor, so you have a little bit of heat. But the longer you leave it in, the more issues you're going to have. Meaning, if you're Indian, Israeli, Jamaican, you know, from a country that really enjoys a lot of heat, great. But some of us aren't so used to it. Mind you, Amy really enjoys it. Now, here's a fun fact about Amy. This woman, I mean, you'll see her, she's very meek and mild, she's very calm, she's very, most times anyways, but she's very, you look at her as Miss Meek. However, I've seen her have contests from people from India that can really handle heat, and Amy's beating them every single time. You can't out-heat Amy, not going to happen. And I wish I could tell you I'm joking. It's actually not a joke. White onion. This isn't all of it, I don't think, but we've got a big whole chicken we got from Sobeys yesterday. We put that in the slow cooker all day yesterday. We've got some sweet ripe olives, they're already sliced. We've got 2 different types of mushrooms, broccoli, peppers, some cheese, which we'll have a lot more here. I've got some sour cream and pineapple. Looks like a pretty good mix, don't you think? What do you think, Amy?
Yeah, it looks really good.
So we're going to put it in here, and then presentation value, you'll see what it looks like this way. Now when I say this, we're going to be taking another bowl later on, like bowls, and just putting it in serving size. It's not meant to be a meal. Now, I'll show you this in a second here, but I'm just going to ladle the bottom with some sour cream, or whatever this is. I'm not a big fan of this myself. However, Amy has started to beat me up multiple times if I didn't get it for her, so I've already suffered enough injuries lately, so I got it. Sour cream. And notice she's not saying anything. I get the book. But seriously, Amy's, you know what, I guess this is a bad joke, so I do apologize. Amy's never actually physically hurt me. This is hint of lime. Before we go any further, when that's brought up, there's something that came up today that I was told what today is. And to any of my audience, I want to make a very firm stance on where Amy and I both stand on this, and that being it's National Rape Day. Apparently some kids made this up, and I would encourage you to rethink this. Rape is not a joke. I know that I like to joke around a lot, I like to troll and prank. That's not a joke, it's not funny in any way. There's enough women around you that have probably been victim to sexual crime as it is. Whether it's in their childhood or somewhere else, there's plenty of women that have been victim to some of those nasty things that have happened. It's not funny. I would really deeply encourage you guys not to make that joke. It's not funny. It really isn't, and it needs to end. So if you know a friend that is going along with that, please kindly remind them it's not even funny. We as men should be stepping up and trying to dissuade somebody else from doing it. It's not cool. Most of the time our women mostly give us what we want anyways, and whatever way you want to take that. There's no reason or need to even joke about that. I seen that on quite a bit of my newsfeed this morning, and it was really sickening. Guys, just please be gentlemen. I know society has waned quite a bit from it. It is what it is, but that's just not cool. So now, with that being said, this really bothered me this morning when I seen that, so I kind of had to say something. We're just going to take a small layer of chicken. This is just my presentation thing, so I'll be making like a much bigger thing here in a bit. So I got chicken here, and I need to find something else to do some straining. That should be all right. The almighty so we take that, and it should get the juices out of it. You're not going to get away with being totally dry or anything like that. So don't worry about being perfect. You're not going to. I absolutely promise that. This should have a nice garlic, marinara sort of feel. I could have put this in the blender and made it more saucy. I wanted more of a tomato feel than I wanted anything else. Doesn't look that complex now, does it? No, not at all. I'm using canned tomatoes for this. Sylvia's just didn't really have anything good yesterday for real tomatoes, so I got what I could. So now we're going to put in some onions. Nice layer of onions. Onions are really good for you, especially this time with COVID. You want to have
you want to have anything you can that's going to help you stay away from it. This is not antioxidant. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Then we're going to put some celery on here. And again, I'm using this as a dip, not a natural whole tray of nachos. So if you want, you can take a spoon, eat it that way. You can mix some nacho chips right in it if you want. This is good for Amy because with Amy, she needs to have a lot of vegetables, so this will have a lot of vegetables. This is one type of mushroom. I'm using two. Don't ask me what type they're, I don't remember. And notice I'm not cooking this. You don't need to. My marinara sauce-ish has been cooking all night. The chicken obviously has been cooked. You have to cook that. But, you know, as far as everything else goes, vegetables, you know what, they're better when they're not. So here's some more mushrooms. We got some white and we got some dark mushrooms. Now I don't know about you, but I like my olives. To anybody that sits there and has a little bit of a gripe because they just don't like olives, whether they were forced to eat them too much when they're young or whatever, eating olives straight may not necessarily be your thing, but eating them when you're putting them in other things is a whole different story. There's a good taste and texture to it. I'm going to put some broccoli in now. Put some peppers. There's a mixture of sweet, bell, and green in here. And now for my personal favorite, pineapple. It's all things that you can get. You shouldn't really have that big of a deal finding any of it. You should be able to find this. I mean, if you're doing this on a weekend, if you go to Sobeys early enough, if you get them on the reduced aisle, as long as you're eating them with the next day or two, they're good. You know what I mean? It's good that way. So now I've got that done here, so I'm going to put another layer of tomato. And it's got the garlic already mixed in with it really good too. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of garlic. I'm a huge fan of having onions and olives, because believe me, you know what? I pray that each and every one of you stay COVID free and none of you ever have to worry about it. But should you ever, I like to believe some of this stuff will help you. Alright, so we got one more thing left to do. What do you think it is, Amy?
Cheese.
I'm giving you the cheeseless one. Don't ever invite Amy to cut the cheese. She's Dutch, she gets confused what that means. To a normal person, that means, you know, cut up your slice of cheese so that you can put it in here. I had to air the apartment out for about 30 minutes this morning. That's all I'm saying.
He's joking.
No, I'm not. So of course Amy's going to have to cut up more cheese because we're making another thing of this here in a minute, but here we go. We have our nacho dip. What do you think, Amy?
It looks excellent.
So now Amy is going to spend some time in the kitchen. She's going to find room for this and also do more cheese so I can fill this thing up with the rest of it. So please be safe this weekend. May the 4th is coming up, so I mean I'm taking bribes for Sith stuff. Forget those Jedi, they suck. So from Amy and I, thank you for joining us. This is Paul's Kitchen. I'm sorry we didn't do a video last week. I kind of got a little hurt, so I'm back this week. Please, by all means, hit like, subscribe, share, tell everybody that Amy's back on the loose, and you guys have a great day.